Hey guys, Jobin here. Enlan produces some very good knives that are quite inexpensive. However, they have a tendency to use unusual, non-standard pivot screws, which makes the knives very hard to adjust. If you actually use them, you probably will need to adjust them eventually, because even though they come Loctited from the factory most of the time, through use, that'll probably loosen up eventually. Or even worse, maybe right out of the box it'll be a little too loose or a little too tight, and you'll want to fix that. So what do? I'm going to go through the various pivot screw designs I've seen from them and talk a little bit about how to deal with each one. Now, my preferred solution, once you get the screw actually off for the first time, is just to cut right through all that nonsense and grind a slot into it. So that then it can be adjusted very easily with a standard screwdriver. But, of course, you need to get the screw off the first time, in many cases, to make that operation easier. So what do? Well, this is by far the most common one you'll see. I don't think they're using it anymore on their newest production ones. These are newer. But there's a lot of these on the market, you know, or already in people's hands. And they did not provide a tool for adjusting this, which is a bit of a pain. But here's one option. These are snap ring pliers. You can find them at automotive supply stores, and they're for installing and removing, snap rings, which are small spring-loaded metal retaining rings. And what you do is you insert the thin tips of the snap ring pliers into two of the holes and then use it like a wrench to adjust the pivot. That works pretty well, and the pliers are not very expensive. Another option is you can make a tool to do it. This is a piece of wood, and those three little spikes there are carpet tacks, I think they were, or very small finishing nails, I can't remember, that I drove into the wood and cut the heads off. And you can see this one's pretty worn because it's wood, and it'll the torque will push the nails over eventually. But they're spaced to fit into the holes of the screw. Now, these ones down here are showing up on newer production ones, and there is a pivot tool available for these. However, it A, costs about 15 bucks, and B, isn't available everywhere. So you may not have one, you might not want to pay for one. Out of the three pivot designs, this one here that's on this EL08 is my least favorite. Because of how low most of the screw is, it makes it hard to cut an effective slot into. However, if you make this type of tool, it can work for this, because each of the pins will go on the flats, spaced all around this sort of triangular type thing in the middle. It's tricky, it's not optimal, and you have to be careful that you don't slip and scratch up your knife really bad. But it'll work. This one I've seen showing up on newer production runs of some of their older models too, like this EL06. And it's much like the second one here. However, it has outside pieces too. The center is the same, but there are spots on the outside. I hope this is the one they're settling on, because of the three, it's probably the most user-friendly. Because, again, not optimal, you can actually put a screwdriver in there. And if you're very careful, you can turn the screw. So, those are your options for dealing with Enlan pivot screws. I hope you guys found this video helpful. As always, remember where your knife is.